India, Saudi Arabia, Vienna, Bologna, Ozano, Toulouse, Istanbul. Yeah. Yeah. I have notes. Well, I have my notebook from there. I don't know how to start this. Manual panorama happening right now.
Do you make a video?
It's called a manual panorama. You have something to say for the video?
No.
No.
Me happy.
Me too.
You happy too.
Me happy too. Video panorama will go in the journey to India video. Long story short, I had to pay for my French visa, which was 10 times more expensive than I expected it to be. And then was like, well, what would I like? I didn't have another option. On the phone with this woman, she was like, do you want to pay by card? Or do you want to come in and pay by cash? And I was like, I don't want to pay at all. That's like a huge amount of money that I did not plan on paying. But I don't have another option. Like, I have to pay it. And I was like, what would I, like, if I'd have thought I want to go travel to India, which I have thought for years now, it's like, well, I just don't have enough money. And I was like, well, fuck it. She just took half my money. I'm just going to make this happen. So I had a month in England where I'd done my first Vipassana course, and there is not a chance in hell I would have survived India without having done that first. That is clear. And yeah, I had about 4 days in Toulouse to book flights the cheapest way possible, do a bit of a wiggly through Europe to get there. Book flights, visas. I didn't do accommodation in advance. I did I think one hostel in advance. I did the rest on the go. Make a budget, like the tightest budget ever, but it's India, it's fine. Yeah, and then pack up my backpack and off I went. So I guess what I did actually, I mean, this notebook is a bit disgusting now, but which I do recommend for travellers. Though I wrote random things in the days, I kind of just had I just wrote one line every day. Where is it? Here. I don't think this notebook's in shot. Okay. And I think I'm just going to run down the list and try remember what I can from each day and just kind of spit it all out for story time for future Tash of whatever this travel was. And I'm going to try be very unfiltered because I do want to capture the memory purely, but it's a memory already. Some things are going to be rose tinted, some things are already, which in the moment were not a really bad thing, and actually after being home for 2 weeks I realised kind of affected me a bit more than I would have liked. So yeah, where are we starting? It started really satisfying. I travelled on New Year's Day. No, I travelled on New Year's Eve from Toulouse, Bologna. Okay, so we're officially at stop one.
Il treno regionale proveniente da Portogruaro Caorle e diretto a Venezia Santa Lucia.
Done. I actually managed to pack everything. Oh my god. I'll just stop. It's fine.
Allontanarsi dalla linea gialla.
Okay, so the point of what I was trying to say before, whoa, what shitty lighting. We are going to try do this trip well. I packed. It's all in my backpack. It's only 3/4 full, which is really good, I think. And I'm not nervous yet. I'm going to visit a friend in Bologna. My being scared of flights is also this flight. I took an ibuprofen. I blasted music and I listened to the audiobook of Harry Potter in French. And I was 10 times less scared. So it's a good start to the flights and of me being scared of flights. So, on to a good start. It's a bit colder than expected. I think I'm going to be a bit cold. Oh no. I don't know where to begin. I don't know what to say. Went to some strange Italian New Year, watched fireworks, didn't speak Italian with them, don't know really much Italian. It was just great. I was there for like 5 days and it just felt homely. It felt like community. It felt, it's just warm, even though it's fucking cold. Oh, it needs to go. Okay, there we are. What do you want to say for video worthy moment?
We got some tree at the back.
We're gonna make a spoon out of it. Hardly video worthy, or we almost just ran over a cyclist.
Follow up on it.
Though we accidentally dropped a whole log on my foot for future me and Mattis, if you're both carrying a log like this, we need to like remember that he's taller. So if we go 3, 2, 1 and we're going to drop it, it doesn't drop like that. It kind of drops like, and then it bounces on the front of your foot and you kind of feel a bit fucked and you can't walk for 3 days. That happened. Minor panic that I wouldn't be able to walk, because only in that moment do you realise that like my entire trip relied on the fact that I can walk everywhere. Like that's literally my plan, is just to walk through all these cities, and that's my way of exploring. So that was a bit scary, but I had a moment to practice observing pain, which I had learned in my meditation course, and it had come in handy rather than panicking and freaking the fuck out. I left. We had actually the night before I left at like 5 a.m. in the morning, and the night before we all went out, we had pizza, we walked around the city centre, we all went and had a bubble tea together, and then at like 3 a.m. we were like in the house eating pasta, and then at 5 a.m. we were in the car on the way to the airport. And it's one of those moments that like in the moment feels like the biggest thing ever, that like in my head my travel hadn't properly begun then, because I was in like safe ground. I was in Europe, I was in Italy, it's like places I know. I was with friends, I was staying at their house. It was just kind of like a little fun, let's go visit my friend for a week. And to say goodbye to him at the airport, it really feels like you just get a bit broken. And every time I do it, people say it gets easier, it gets easier. It doesn't get easier. Honestly, I feel like it gets harder. And to say goodbye to loved ones is absolute shit and not a skill of mine, which we all learn more in India. So yeah, I'm scared of flying at this point. Not excited about the amount of flights I've got to take. Okay, remember like a week ago, and I was like, I wasn't ready for the cold of Italy. That was fuck all. It's minus like 6 degrees in Vienna and it's snowing. Yeah. So I'm gonna go look at some cool buildings, maybe go to some free museums, and maybe go to the cinema. I somehow feel like I'm not allowed to go to the cinema. I have to like make the most of my Vienna moment, but it's fucking freezing. I'm not ready for it. But I did just find a cool bird on the floor. I'm not living. Maybe I'm going crazy already. And actually I'm just super happy that I had to say goodbye to Mattis. This morning, this was super shit. But I guess the more you cry about friends in an airport, that means the more you love them. So it's okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, I feel like I'm on my own now. New country, new place, Billy no mates. It's kind of great. I'm kind of happy. Yeah, just dropped my bag at the hostel. Not allowed to check until later, so I've been chucked out into the cold. And now I have stones in my shoes. I don't know where I'm going. Brilliant. I then flew the next day to Saudi Arabia. I don't recommend. Especially if you're a small brown girl on your own who looks Western. I don't recommend. I think it was one of the scariest 40 hours of my life. And not even like tangibly, I don't know what I was scared of. It was just terrifying and very confronting, actually, that already I had found out there had been a scam from my airline as to like if you could get a transit visa or not. This whole Wizz Air, if you're doing Wizz Air to Saudi Arabia and planning to carry on to Mumbai, you cannot. They don't give you a transit visa. You have to buy it separately, which is super expensive. But they don't tell you that. So like half of the flight when we get off, get like separated and basically just like sent other places or have to pay a huge fine. And I'd found out a few days before and I'd done like all the research I could and thought I'd got the right visa. I went through this whole paperwork control and I was so proud of myself that I actually managed, like all my paperwork went through fine. They kind of like bundle up all your paperwork and just be like, get out the line. Here's your stamp for your passport. And I had like a day. But the airport's really far away from the city and it's going to cost loads to get to the city. I was like, you know what, I'll just chill in the airport. And I was so happy to have passed all my paperwork through and like it been successful and not have fucked up something, because that was where I was really scared. That I was like looking a bit too happy for myself, I guess, going down this escalator with like my whole pile of paperwork. And I was so happy that the guy at the bottom of the escalator was like, you're coming with me. And like pulled me into this like immigration room, looked through all of my stuff, basically redid the paperwork check that the other guy did, and then was just like, fine, okay, you can go. And I just like, at this point, I'd been in Vienna, I'd been really cold, and it was really warm in Saudi Arabia. Really warm, like 25 degrees, so like a nice comfortable evening temperature. And I went to just sit outside and eat some food and have a drink of water and just kind of like get my bearings. And I was sitting on the floor, probably looking something like how I do now. And I was so uncomfortable. I mean, like, I understand there that like people cover up and it's very religious. But I was like, I thought at the airport where there's a lot more international people that it would be a bit more normal. It wasn't. It wasn't at all. Like, the women looked at me like I was sitting there butt naked with a prostitute sign. And the men looked at me as if I was just like a piece of meat for their taking. I never want to see a look like that in a guy's eye again. Sadly, I did. Sadly, I will probably see more of them in my life. But I very quickly wrapped a scarf around my head, which it kind of, I guess it helped a little bit, but still I'm like in Western clothes and clearly not fitting in there. So I went back in the airport because I was just like, I don't feel safe outside. I just don't feel safe. The way that those guys looked at me was like, I ain't doing it. I'm not being out there. So I went back inside and somehow, I don't actually know what it's called, Saudi Arabia money. A friend of mine had some of that lying around, so I had some, but I was like, I have no idea if I have like €2 or €20. So I went to the exchange office and I was like, hi, how much do I have? And he was like, you want to exchange it? I was like, no, I just want you to tell me the conversion. And he was like, oh, I can't do that unless you're exchanging. And I was like, hey, whatever, bye, thank you. Went to the next place, asked again, and they were just like, we're not going to tell you, like, go buy something and find out. And then the security had clocked on that I'd gone to 2 exchange places and not exchanged money. And then they pulled me over again, did the whole paperwork thing again, did the whole backpack search again. They asked me, I even asked the guy who was like, there was a younger guy who seemed a bit like, oh, I'm only just doing my job searching this girl's bag. I didn't really feel like it was necessary kind of vibes. So I asked him, I was like, by the way, do you know the conversion? He was like, no. And at this point, I realised I have no phone service, but I already didn't expect to. And then there was no like airport Wi-Fi, and I couldn't find, like, I even went to like, there was like a Starbucks and stuff like that. I couldn't find any Wi-Fi at all. I had no signal, like I had nothing. So I went to the help desk and I was like, what's the airport Wi-Fi? And she was like, oh, we don't have that, and we've blocked all signals in and out of the airport for security. Apparently that was a normal thing there. And I was like, well, I need to check in for my next flight. Like, how do you plan on me doing that? She's like, you're going to have to go to the desk at 2 a.m. when it first opens, because if you go after, you're going to get charged for not checking in, like, earlier at home. And I was like, yeah, well, I wasn't at home. I was on a flight in Vienna, like, and it was too early to check in there. Like, what do I do? Like, the fuck? And she was like, yeah, you're going to settle after 2 a.m. You're going to go to the gate and you're going to check in there. And I was like, okay, that sounds brilliant. My sleeping on the floor of the airport plan, over. And also, like, I messaged my friends and my mom saying, okay, I'm getting on my flight to Saudi Arabia now, I'll let you know when I'm there. And then, like, this general stuff if you're traveling alone. And of course, then I'm like, fuck, they're going to have 2 days where I'm like, bye, I'm going to Saudi Arabia. We don't know what happened. Like, I just said nothing for like 40 hours. Luckily, everything checked through. Made friends with 2 lovely other girls in the same situation. We kind of ganged together. It was really nice. I mean, really nice. Like, just to, like, pass the night with people. So that was really nice. They were also going to Mumbai. So, got our flight. It was the first long flight I've ever done on my own. It was a bit scary. And I was sitting next to a guy who had very differing opinions to me on arranged marriage. Which, while frustrating, it was very good practice for what was to come in India. And though he was very annoying and in my face, he was so annoying that he distracted me about being, like, scared of the flight. So I kind of at some point I was like, you know what, I'm just going to let him be annoying, because what am I going to do this time otherwise? Like, try play Sudoku and freak out about being in the air. So, yeah, got to Mumbai and then it began, I guess. Mumbai, best smelling airport I've ever been in, worst smelling city. I don't even, how do I even go about explaining Mumbai? I was stuck in the airport to begin with. I could not find a way out of this place. I couldn't find a phone contract place to be able to get a number immediately to get internet. So I was like the full-on tourist with a backpack asking people for internet. And I was too scared at this point to just, like, get a tuk-tuk on my own. And I found a bus stop. A guy screamed at me. I learned that day that they're just being direct. That's just how they are. He's not angry at me. It's fine. He screamed at me, you need this number bus. I waited there like 20 minutes. A bus arrived. He screamed at me and pointed, so I got on the bus. And then kind of like all the other Westerners at some point, all the other ones, like all 3 of them, because it was like the off season, they all got off at some point, and then it was just me and locals. And the guy who screamed at me he didn't get on that bus also. And I was like, well, when the fuck do I get off? And I kept trying to ask this guy, and then at some point some other random guy screamed at me and I got off, and luckily I was at my hostel. And walking in the doors of that hostel felt like, okay, I'm in safety. And that was kind of like a running theme for India, that like sometimes if strange city, or I'm just like kind of getting lost in the sea of craziness and chaos on the streets, then walk through the door of a hostel and you feel like, oh, okay, safety. So got to my hostel, made a friend. That was really nice. I was staying in dorms mostly, and I kind of switched between female dorms and mixed dorms, which was really nice. That worked for me really well, because normally I make friends faster with guys and more often with guys. So, and it was often a lot cheaper. So made some friends. Me and one guy went for a walk in the markets in Mumbai. That was overwhelming to like first shock of India properly, rather than just like the smell and looking out of a bus window. That was a lot to take in, and I was very thankful to do it with a friend on the first moment, just to like not walk out the door on my own and be completely lost. And it kind of gave me like a lot of excitement of, I've got a month ahead of me of this is going to be super fun to just like, he was also writing a book, and it's, I guess, like the kind of people who travel and stay in these kind of places are also my kind of people. That was really lovely to stay with him and just chat about life and feel kind of settle a bit, even though I knew the whole trip is not going to be settled, but to settle a bit. And I spent, how long did I spend? 4 days in this first hostel in the north of Mumbai, like honestly, like quite close to the slums. We were really out of the main city, and met some wonderful human beings. To get that close with people so fast, and to go for dinners with these people, and to lie on the sofa and smoke a joint with a really good friend with their head on your lap, which you just met 2 days ago, is a very, very, very blessed feeling, and something I was so grateful for, because it was something I was worried about, that I was like, oh my God, no physical contact for like a month. I don't know anyone. I don't anything. And to just like have a cuddle, especially in the start, was beneficial. Especially because like after my first day walking the streets of Mumbai, I got back to the hostel, and even though I had a shower, I was like, I am going to get every illness possible. I'm going to wake up with every infection possible, and there's no way I'm surviving this trip. Like, I'm going to die. Because I just wasn't used to like the heat and the pollution and the everything, all like I'd never been so disgusted by my own body. Like, I didn't even want to touch my own hands, because they were just like, I touched things, and yeah, that was a bit grim. But I moved then down south, down to the south of Mumbai, like right next to the gate of Mumbai actually. And then I was like on my own. Like, this next hostel was not such a community one, but it was honestly my favourite hostel. It was like, it had lots of little places to sit, great location, great, really great, honestly, really helpful staff. Backpacker carries saved me many times. When Uber drivers call and don't speak any English, and I'm just panicking, and I'm like, help me please, talk to this guy on the phone, can you please like help sort out this SIM card? And yeah. Oh, future me, I mean, you forget it, but you're half Indian. Like, I got so many discounts because they're like, they don't know what box to put me in the foreign box or in the Indian box. Because if I don't speak, if I just say my numbers in Hindi of like how many of what I want, they're like, oh, it's fine, we just give you the Indian discount. So I got that with my phone bill. I only paid half. Oh, I went to Elephanta Island. That was on a whim, didn't even know it existed. And the boat journey was really nice. It's like, there's no elephants on the island, sadly. There's just monkeys and caves and quite a bit of history about Krishna. It was a great day out. I had a great laugh. And that was like my last day in Mumbai. So I spent like 8 days there overall. And I really wanted to get the train from south to north. I wanted to get the train up to Delhi. But like, oh my God, if anyone's done fucking India as an international person, the transport is incredible, but to get the ticket is like fucking impossible if you're not Indian. And I didn't know that like you could just ask at a hostel for them to book a train, and I couldn't find anything, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be stuck in Mumbai. And I found like a super cheap flight, like cheaper than the train would have been. I was like, okay, fine, I'll just get the flight. So when, with another woman actually who was really ill, she had to get to the airport, like both of us in like a rickshaw at like 5 a.m. We went, and then our flight was delayed by like 7 hours. So I was just like chilling in the airport, not really knowing what I'm doing. This lovely family kind of adopted me and started translating what they were saying back to me. That was really nice. And the flight was fine, but like I'd had quite a few, so I'm on like my third flight now. My flight into Vienna, it was so foggy and snowy that like they were like, oh, we're like about to land, and I was like, no, we're not, we're still in the cloud. And then we just like whacked the floor. And then the same happened in Delhi, because like they were like, oh, we're about to land, please, like cabin crew, take your seats. And I was like, we're still in a cloud. That was the pollution. And then we whacked the ground. And for someone who's scared of flying, to have 2 flights where you feel like you just like hit the floor out of a cloud wasn't great for the nerves. And oh my God, the smell. It wasn't like Mumbai where it smells like rotting food and spice and overwhelmness of heat. It was, because it was cold. Like cold. It was cold. Oh my God, it was like I'm in a smoking area and I just like stuck my head right next to someone who's got like a big cigar and inhaled. And then I was like, wait, is this the airport or is this Delhi? I googled what the pollution levels are like in Delhi, second worst city in the world, and it's the equivalent of smoking 32 cigarettes a day. Oh my god, is the equivalent. I was in, at this point I'm not really scared of rickshaws anymore. It's fine. Yeah, I was trying to like almost hold, it's like if you're like a kid in the back of the car and your parents are smoking, and then you kind of like, you try not to breathe in, but then at some point you're going to suffocate. I was kind of doing this, and I was like, in the plan it didn't work out like this, but in the plan I had like a week there. I was like, I cannot hold my breath for a week. And I put my mask on, and I was just like, oh my god, how I felt when I was in Delhi, that I gave 2 days of my life to have 1 day there. The whole time I felt that in India, actually, that I was like, I'm taking days off my life for these days, and it was worth it. But oh my god, I started taking notes of I just made a list of all the people that I met, like all the friends I met along the way of this travel. And then I also just made a list of all the cities I went through. And I just thought it'd be a nice thing to like make a list of as I go. And then slowly there ended up being a death toll list. Do all travellers have that? Because on like my second day in Mumbai, there was just like a guy dead on the overpass of the train tracks. And I kind of just stopped. And I was with a girl, but she's like Indian from India. And I was like, do we like call someone? Like, I guess like an ambulance not useful anymore, but like, who do we call to like have him taken? Or, and she literally laughed, and not in a mean way. She was just like, you want to call someone every time you find a dead guy here? Like, get on, step over him and let's go get some curry. And it was just such a like, you don't stop on the streets there, like you just get run over. It took until like 3 days in until I had the confidence to like cross a road on my own. And then on one of those times when I was crossing a road, there was a dog stuck in the middle of all the traffic. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go save it, but I don't want to get rabies. But also, how am I supposed to save this dog? Like, I can't even save myself in this traffic. I'm like gluing myself to locals to cross these roads and not get run over, not get deafened by car horns and not get screamed at. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm literally going to be like whacked by a car myself if I go try to save this dog. And then I kind of was watching and I was like, I'm just waiting for him to get hit, but I feel like I can't leave. And as we were leaving, it got hit. And so began the death toll of India. Perhaps I will read it out at some point, if that's not too morbid. Back to Delhi. We're in Delhi. Where was I? What happened in Delhi? What even... Oh, I was really tired after Mumbai. I'm only 8 days into the trip, and I was really tired after Mumbai, and I couldn't find a hostel without like a dorm that had like 20 beds in it. Like I'd been staying in one with like 8 beds. But this one hostel for the same price had a solo room, and I was like, this is going to be great. I'll just have like 2 nights of feeling, I don't know, have my own space. It was terrifying. I don't even remember the name of the hostel. It was terrifying. This hostel was like through some back alley of something, round some corner. Like, it was horrible to get there. Like, in the other day in Mumbai, I'd just been like going in and out of the hostel in the day, going to see what I wanted to see some sights, walk around, see the markets, see the people, do what I like. And then this 2 days in Delhi, I like made a plan. I left the hostel, and I'd stay out all day. And then I would just come back just before it went dark, because I was like, I do not want to do that little bit of walking in between that many times. And though I had a good it was nice to see Delhi. I guess it's like London or Paris. It's just like, it was cool to see. I'm glad I experienced it. I have no desire to go back to Delhi, which I then do twice in this journey. But yeah, it wasn't my kind of place. And I'd lined up some work in an orphanage to teach some kids some circus, and that was just like on the outskirts of Delhi in Noida. They were all lovely. Oh my God, these kids are the sweetest. In India, there is this saying of like, guest is God, which was very true there. It felt very uncomfortable in some way because they treated me too well, that I had to like sit at the table on my own and eat dinner, and then everyone else sat on the floor, and I was like, no, I want to sit on the floor with you guys. I want to eat that. I just want to do whatever you guys do. And they were like, no, you have to sit at the table. You have to do this. You have to do this. And this was difficult, but yeah, to spend days just teaching these kids English, a bit of French, taught them to juggle. This one kid learned to juggle faster than I learned to like catch a ball. Crazy. Did some acro with them. The games they play, they're orphans. They all came from the slums, and then they just got taken and put there basically. And this place doesn't have a lot of money, and they're just like playing with rocks outside. But the games they have with them is insane. And anyway, I ended up cutting that work in half, which I think was one of the worst things it was the best thing I could have done for myself, but one of the hardest things I did for myself was to admit that it wasn't the place for me, and that if I'm not good there, I'm not good for the kids either, or like it wouldn't be right for me to stay. Oh, it was so, because it was because of how they were treating me. They treat me so well, but that sounds really weird. Like, I would say goodnight to everyone, and I'd just get into bed and like be reading my book in my room, and then like someone would just walk into my room and be like, do you need anything? And I'm like, I just feel I feel like I'm an orphan here, and that I'm under like 24-hour surveillance. And how they were like, oh, do you want a shower in the morning? And I was like, yeah, there's a bath in there. I can go shower, like bucket shower. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm going to shower in the morning, I think. I didn't have a plan. And then in the morning, she like just walks into my room and it's like, the shower's ready. And she'd like put the water in the bucket for me, which is like, I feel like a bitch moaning about it. But I was like, whoa, like, I was like, you're going to wash me for me also? Like, I was feeling very uncomfortable with all of this. And I was getting a bit like the caged animal feeling. And I was actually on the phone to my mom being like, I feel like I need to leave. Like, I feel trapped. I feel like I need to leave. But who leaves orphans? And I was standing next to the gate at the bottom of the orphanage, and the woman came up to me and was like, oh, don't go out there without anyone. And I was like, whoa, that's not okay. Like, I'm here as a volunteer. I'm like a teacher. I can come and go as I like. And then that really like pushed it for me, and I was like, it's not where I need to be. I don't feel comfortable at all. I felt more and more uncomfortable. But the time with the kids was wonderful. And I mean, like, they'd never really had volunteers come. I think they liked the idea of it more than they liked the practicality of it. That I said to them, what do you want? Like, what kind of hours are we talking? What do you want me to help them with? They were like, just be there and teach them stuff. So, okay. So I'm like helping these kids with their English homework. I'm helping them read their books. We're having short conversations in French, teaching them to juggle, playing games with them. But then I'm like, I'm not full-time care. And then if I wasn't doing anything, she was like, oh, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I can't do anything here but be with the kids because there's nothing to do. And if I do anything, you just kind of like act weirdly. And then I literally, after the first day of being there, this like headmistress woman, she like came like to the kids who were like terrified of her and was just like, so what have you learned? And like at this point, we'd sat and we'd spoken English together, and they speak really good English. And they had like a book where they'd underlined lots of words that they didn't understand. And we'd gone through and I just like explained the words, and I'd just like gone around and be like, tell me your favourite colour, what kind of sports do you like to do? And kind of learn to juggle a bit. You don't learn to juggle in one day. Like, I mean, you can if you spend a lot of time with it. When you're juggling erasers and rocks as an orphan, we had chose some small rocks from outside, like some small stones, and the erasers from their stationery box to learn to juggle with. These kids are not like doing 3-ball tricks here. Like, they can just about throw 2 of them. And it's just, I was like, dude, don't. Oh, anyway, I ended up being like, this is really not working out. And on the formality side, on the decision, is this right for me? I felt everything was in line, but I've never disappointed a child before. And that hurt a lot. Like, when especially these 2 girls I got really close with, I was like, well, I would have left within 3 days anyway. It's just that I'm leaving earlier. And when I told them, I made it super clear. I was like, it has nothing to do, like, it was not your fault. It's nothing to do with you. It's external circumstance, all of this. It's been lovely to see you, meet you. And some of the older girls also who I'd like been chatting with, really like super clear. It was actually really sad to leave them. And the look on this little kid's face when I told her, and she just accepted it. She was like, okay. And it just broke me. I know that look. I've done that look. And whether it's just me or other kids also, but that moment of disappointment is like, it's not just in that moment. When that keeps happening, it sticks inside you a bit, of people leaving all the time. That was shit. And I felt absolutely crap about it. And I cried the whole way back. I like left it late at night. And then I just like got the metro back to Delhi and was just like, just found a random hostel. Luckily, it was a wonderful hostel. The guy on the desk was really funny. I had like an all-female dorm. People were chatty, so that was really good. But I was really, really down. And I just felt really bad. And then a girl who I kind of had thought, she was like 19. I associated her with like, if I had grown up in India, I kind of imagined I'd have turned out a bit like her. And she just messaged me because she had got a bit emotional when I'd left. And the message literally just said, I'm sorry for being emotional. I don't like it when people I get attached to leave. And my initial thought, I mean, like, English is not her native language. I was like, well, that was a weird choice of, like, to say that they get attached to. I was there for like a matter of days, not like weeks or months. And I was like, oh my God, but she literally just spoke the truth that I always feel with people, but I don't have the guts to speak the truth of it. That like, I meet people for 3 days and I do get attached to them. I do. It's the truth of it. I get attached to them when they leave. I'm way more broken than I should be for that small amount of encounter. And the fact that she was so open about it just broke me again. So I made a vow to myself, made a promise, a commitment, a something to myself that me and her, we stay in contact. She has like a phone and is like 19. She goes to college and she's like a human of her own. But the two little ones, I will go back. I will visit them. And I mean, when I have money, to have money in India, it's not going to take as long as for me to have money in Europe. The little one who loved juggling, I'm getting her actual juggling balls to learn. And like, I don't know, I'll get like a cheap iPad and like put loads of videos on it as to how to learn juggle. And the other one, she didn't really know what she wanted to do. She also reminded me a bit of little me. She didn't have much confidence. She was just kind of doing her thing happily and in her own world. And I'm like, whatever she wants to do, I support it. Like, whatever she needs help with, yeah. But that kind of broke me. And then I was back in Delhi, which was not the plan. A few days earlier than the plan. Also, my plan was just like happening as I went, and I was booking things like on the metro. I was booking the hostel. So yeah, that was that. And I was kind of broken. This video is insanely long. Oh my God. Okay, where are we? We're back in Delhi. Let's just skim through this next few days very fast. I felt like shit. I had a day where I walked around markets. It was really fun, but I think I was just a bit down. I was tired. And then that evening, called my best friend and literally just fell apart about life. Cried for about 2 hours. Didn't know what I was doing with my life. Questioned everything. Also because he was getting jobs that I was really wanting. And I've got like no work for the last 3 months, which was why I was feeling, that's why I was in India also. That's why I had time to go, is because I didn't manage to get work. So that kind of hit a bit hard. And then I went to sleep and I woke up and I had promised myself, I was like, you're not going to get food poisoning on this trip. You're not going to. I did. Apparently it's just chance in Delhi. I was like, yeah, but everything I ate, I was strictly vegetarian there. Everything I ate, I really made sure was like not disgusting. And they were like, it's just chance. So I had food poisoning for the day. That was absolutely horrific. I didn't have enough energy to like even get out of my bed. Like that was taxing. And then of course you're supposed to eat bland food. How do I do that in India? I did get to a pharmacy. It's like 2-minute walk away. Went to the pharmacy and got some medication. 2 of the medications said you have to take it with a meal. I was like, well, there's nothing inside me. And then one of them, I didn't really understand what the guy had said to do with it. And I decided to take one of them anyway, because I was like, well, what's the worst that happens if I don't have enough food in me? There's nothing in me. It'll make me sick. I'm already sick, so maybe it'll help. It did. It helped for like 2 hours, and then I threw it back up. And I took one of the other things, and that helped. Great. Next morning, booked a train to Agra. First thing, this lovely guy helped me get a train ID thing, so I can now book trains in India. Useful. And got a train to Agra. Oh my god, like proper solo traveller moments when you just can't really do it yourself, can you? Like, it's me in the Taj Mahal, and it's way bigger than it actually looks like. It's crazy, and on camera it looks like a building. Well, I guess it's supposed to be looked at and not filmed, but still. Had a lovely roommate who bought me chocolate. Went to the Taj Mahal. I don't even know, it's big. I mean, that's obvious, but it's big. Like, I did not expect it to be so big and white. I didn't expect there to be camels in Agra. I had like 3 days in Agra where I got back on top of my work. I got back on top of my admin. I hadn't really looked at my emails, stuff like this. I had a whole day to do that stuff. Went to Agra Fort. Guys, up until now, people hassle. People try sell you everything. People try get everything from you. People are like, you walk out of a train station, you have a backpack and you're not clearly Indian. They're trying to get you in your rickshaw. They're like in your face and they follow you. And I'd had a few moments where people had followed me a bit too far, and I was just like, you're not getting any service from me. Like, you're not. Please leave me alone. And I just kind of accepted it. It's fine. Like, it's how it is there. And it didn't feel unsafe. Actually, India's one of the safest places I've ever been. Like, I really felt very safe there. Even though everyone's haggling me and everyone's, like, almost harassing you. That's it. They're literally just, like, speaking at you. And they're walking around behind you. If some guy in France started walking around behind me and following me through a train station, I would be, like, shitting myself. But somehow there, it's like, there's so many people. And nothing, all he wants is to make a sale and to be able to get money because that's his job. That's it. So I was kind of like, I wasn't scared of them. I was just like, it's just annoying. That's it. It's just annoying. In Agra, what the hell is that noise? Anyway, in Agra, different situation. These guys are like, I don't know, they had different intentions. They hassled so much. They tried to take my bag off me and put me in a car. They followed me, like, not just through the train station as I got out. Like, there was a whole street of the rickshaws, and I was like, I'm going to go a bit further away where, like, the more calmer guys are. And that's how I've kind of found, like, don't go to the ones who are, like, in your face, because these guys are the ones that are fucking annoying. Walk a bit down the road, get one of these guys. They're normally way more reasonable at their price also. So I did all of this, and I was just walking down the street, and just already people are just, like, up in your business and following you everywhere, to the point that on one place he followed me, like, down 2 streets, like, for a 20-minute walk. And I ended up, like, standing on, like, a chair of a bus. It sounds really stupid now. But in the moment, I was like, I don't know what to do. I literally was looking. I wasn't, like, being suspicious and walking away. I literally just looked at him. I was like, what the fuck do you want, dude? Like, he kept following me. So I went and stood on this chair in this bus station and just shouted, this guy's following me. And then, of course, like, 5 other people look and be like, who? And I'm like, him. And then everyone looked at him, and then he went away. So I guess it worked, even though it was it felt very stupid to do. To just suddenly, I was like, I'm done. Like, I wasn't angry. I was just like, I'm fucking over it. Just please fuck off. So at this point, I'd learned my stern no. People have said in India, you're going to learn how to say no properly, and you do. My stern no was very good at this point. and I was using it in Agra. Everything was going how it went in other places. It worked out, it's fine. Until I was walking down the street and there was one guy who started following me. He's like, oh, where are you from? What are you doing? Da, da, da. And I'm just like, I don't want to talk. Please leave me alone. Kept following me. And then he went away and like he was like walking with a bike, and then he came back like cycling his bike. And I thought he'd actually gone because he'd gone for like 5 minutes. And then he was like cycling up and down the street. But there's like a lot of like teenage lads just cycling up and down these streets. And then he cycled up, and like I had a backpack on, but like a small one, and he literally just like grabbed my ass and almost pushed me over. Which the practicality of it wasn't like I was completely fine physically, like, but I was just like, that made me super sad. That like literally, like, I went from walking down the street after seeing the Taj Mahal and feeling like happy, travel attached, to just feeling like absolute shit. And it just made me really sad. That's about all I have to say on it. I didn't think of it as a big thing at all. It just made me really sad. And honestly, by the next morning, I'd kind of forgotten about it. Like, days feel like weeks in India, and life moves on. And yeah, kind of forgot about it. It wasn't an event of any real significance, if I'm completely honest, which is saying something in itself, that like in this world that can happen, and you can be like, well, that wasn't of great significance. We'll later find out it was of significance, and I think my phone's gonna die. I have no idea what the audio is like, but I'm sitting in front of the Taj Mahal, and it doesn't really matter that it's India. It doesn't really matter who the people are, where you are, but it's like you follow the atmosphere, not the place. And still everywhere you go, this creepy guy staring at you. Wonderful. Okay, peacocks are cool. I don't like walking towards this many of them. Oh god, they're fucking off. I'm clearly intimidating. Oh, they look cool in their one. Okay, I thought I'd take advantage of the quietest moment in India I've had in 1 month, I think. No, less. Still, the quietest moment. There's like birds and trees, enjoying my break from the city. I have no idea where I am. And as much as a bit of me was like, I want to document whatever happens here, another bit of it is like, especially when you're on your own, it happens in your head. Like, everything important and valuable that I don't say learned, because it's just experienced. It's what happens in your head. It's not anything I can capture with a camera, or even in some ways explain to a camera, because it's in concepts in my brain. It's not something tangible. And I'm no filmmaker. I haven't even, with my little filmmaking skills, it would look better if I was like this. Oh yeah, look at that. Well, I mean, this hood, 2-hood scarf, yeah, great. Should I walk backwards? No. We're gonna have the shitty lighting direction. I don't even know what I want to say. Maybe I actually stop. What do I want to say? Like, I got food poisoning. Everyone said you're gonna get it. I was like, nah, it's fine. I got food poisoning. It was one day of being shaky and feeling like death. It was fine, actually. You wake up the day after feeling fine. I think I've got permanent hearing loss from all the car horns, and I think I maybe want to move to India, and maybe not, because the car pressure, my life, the pollution, fuck that. Now there's motorbikes and bike people again, and then they get shy. I guess in conclusion, I don't know exactly what I want to say. Okay. I don't know what I want to say. It's colder than expected. Mumbai was hotter than expected. I started when I set out here in my notebook, I was putting like a list of people I'd met along the way, which I thought would be really nice, which then became, sorry, there's dogs and they came to say hello and I got scared. And they're still looking at me. Let's run away. What was I saying? A list of people I met that were lovely human beings along my journey. Made a list. This ended up turning into a list also of wonderful animals I've seen, which then got added in a little side list of dead things I've seen, including 3 humans at this point. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm trying to film right now and what I'm trying to say, but well, he said it for me. I'm a bit lost. Okay, we're back. My plan of making this short didn't work. Right, mate. Oh, I'm in Agra and there's been a horrible guy. Yeah. But actually, otherwise, Agra was wonderful. I met some really lovely people. Really, really lovely people. Had like a games evening with an Australian guy. We had a great laugh. Yeah, it kind of had vibes a bit of like my first hostel in Mumbai, where it was very community oriented. There was great food, really lovely rooftop, terrace place to sit, great view, calmer than Delhi. My eardrums were not painful because of the car horns, and like it was a little bit of a break from some of the pollution. I mean, not at all, but like better than the centre of Delhi. What happened then? Oh, I got a night train, like 6 hours, to Jaipur, which I was really happy about because I had really wanted to like experience a night train in India, and then I was really sad when I couldn't because of the whole flight not having the ID thing for the train situation. So I was really happy about that, to finally to experience that. It's crammed and dark, and I was on the 3rd level up of these skinny bed things, but it was great, and they just served chai, and oh my god, Indian chai. I haven't drank chai since I've been back in France because I just don't want to. Why would I want to do that? It's just like absolute shit here. So I need to learn to make Indian chai. The city itself, so I literally walked out the train station and there's loads of monkeys there, which until now had not really been a problem. They'd kind of been quite cute and they kind of keep their distance and they're scared of humans. Whereas in Jaipur, they're not scared of humans. They're not that cute, if I'm honest. They're a bit more beastly looking. And they just like go for it. They don't care if you're walking somewhere. And I had to go down a little staircase to get out the train station. There was like a whole family of monkeys. I just like stood at the top and the security guard was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, there's no other people on the staircase. I don't want to walk down it on my own." He was like, "Just go." Oh, and I had to walk super close to them. I hadn't really been scared of them until that moment. But Jaipur monkeys, scary. Walking past cows in the street had become a normal thing. Cows are beautiful. I didn't realise how beautiful cows' eyes are until you're like this close to one. Yeah, love the cows. The camels are weird. I had like a landmark. There was a camel it's really sad actually. The camel was chained up to this like lamppost, but the camel was like right next to the hostel. So like this camel was my landmark as to how to get home. And in this hostel, I think was not the hostel itself was the best, as like in terms of building facilities, but the people of that hostel were the best. I spent 2 days with them. We kind of had like a gang of 5 of us who just like, we had a really strange night out. We we jammed like 6 of us in a rickshaw together. We walked through the Pink City. We watched pigeons fly. Oh my God, the amount of pigeons there was insane. It was like a spectacle of its own. Like, and then there was a bright blue sky behind it, and they just like made like a movie of their own. Like, I loved the Pink City there. And someone said to me, I went to order some samosas and a chai for dinner, and I mean, like, that kind of just became my staple at some point. I was like, as much as I love the curries, oh my God, actually saying that, we went out for what was probably one of the best meals of my life, and it cost about like €3 of like curries, and we all got a different kind of dal or curry, and then we all shared and tried them all. But otherwise, I was just living off samosas and chai, and then I got for takeaway because I wanted to like eat it in the park or something, and they put my chai in a bag, which is normal there, but like I was like, what like, it was like in those like thermal blankets that people wear when they're really like coming out of the rainforest or something, I don't know. It was like that kind of material, like a thermal blanket bag for my tea. It was strange. I don't know where I was going with this. I was talking to the guy while I was waiting for my food, and he was like, oh, so how do you like it here? And I was like, actually, architecturally, absolutely love it. Also the vibe here, besides the monkey situation, wonderful, love it. He was like, but you're from Toulouse. And I was like, well, no, but I live there. Like, and I mean, the reason I live in Toulouse is because I love the city. And he was like, yeah, well, did you know that like Toulouse is the French version of Bristol in England, and Jaipur is the Indian version of Toulouse? And I was like, that makes sense, because these are like my 3 favourite places now. Yeah. So we just chatted, and we had some alcohol. That was weird. You don't really drink in India, but we ended up on some rooftop hotel bar with funky hats on our heads having a beer. That was fun. So many just random little things to like chat with other people, to see how they came to their journey, or where they're travelling from, or why they're travelling, or for what reason, what their next destination is. All of this stuff's like fascinating. There was a guy there's like a little meditation spot in this hostel, which is nice, and he was like just doing this, like, he did not look relaxed, he was like shaking his whole body, but he had like a candle and was just sitting there meditating. So I joined him for like an hour one evening, which was really nice to keep up my meditation practice a bit when I was there, and had a slight problem with my washing, in that I ran out. I didn't have enough clothes, and then there was no washing facilities in Agra. So then when I arrived in Jaipur, I had to wash all my clothes, and they had like a rooftop, which was just like empty, but it had like lots of clothes areas on it. So I went up, and I was like, why is no one up here? It's nice and sunny. How beautiful. I had my backpack with me. So I put all my washing out on the areas on the roof, and I was like, how about I just sit here and eat my dinner? Oh my God, this whole family of monkeys arrived, literally ran through my washing and like came at me, and I just dropped everything and legged it down the stairs. And they followed me. It was like a horror movie in my head. It was like, I could see the shadows of them. It's a hair. And they followed me all the way down the hostel, and then I went to the reception. I was like, by the way, there's now monkeys in the living room, because I ran down from there. And anyway, the guy went and sorted it. Apparently it's a bit of a problem there. He was like, yeah, you shouldn't go on the roof without supervision. I was like, well, I didn't know that. Like, I don't normally ask supervision to do things. And then he was like, yeah, you should probably rewash your washing. So I had to wash it again. And then, this guy was lovely. He like put my washing out for me, because I was like then terrified of monkeys. And then it rained that night. So then the next morning I washed it again. And he wasn't there. So I was like, what do I do? So I like had to hang it downstairs. It took like 2 days to dry. So for like 3 days, I basically wore the same t-shirt and had no underwear. That happened. That was fine. It was warm again. Life went on. I feel like this is such a long video, and I don't actually know where. We needed to backtrack to Agra. While I was in Agra, I had booked before my flight home, which was the plan for like start of Feb, end of Feb. No, I had booked a flight home for like the middle of February. It got cancelled. I hadn't seen the email, so like I was 2 days late seeing the email. So everyone had already rebooked flights around those days. So all of these were sold out. And then and I'd also planned on working in a hostel, which they then called me and said they'd hired too many volunteers and they didn't need me anymore, but I was welcome to come and like stay as a resident and pay. And I was like, well, I'd rather just continue traveling around then. So I missed out on that week of work, and I'd missed out on a few days at the orphanage because I'd left early. So I was already like a week and a half ahead of schedule. And I was like, well, actually, if I was going to spend more time in India, I'd want to go down south, but that's really hard to get out of back to Europe. I need to kind of stay up north and go out of Delhi. And I'd already made a plan to do like a whole Thailand, south of India trip together. And I was like, do I go back to Mumbai? Because that seems to be like my favourite place to be in general for like people, feeling, weather, city, like that kind of was more my spot. And I found a flight for like within a week. It's super cheap. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I've been on the road already because before I left for India, I'd been on the road for like a month and a bit. I was like, it's the moment. So I'd rebooked. So I had less time in India. And yeah, I finished my days in Jaipur. I was super sad to leave these people. Oh my God, I was so sad to leave them. Already I'd had like a few random people where like we'd met each other and then like we'd just spent the evening playing games or having a chat or having dinner. And then they go. So it's only like one evening. Whereas like these guys spent like 3 days with them. And yeah, like one of my roommates, she was hilarious. She just like, we just get back one day, she just whipped out a bottle of wine from her suitcase, and she's like, yeah, well, for my job I sell wine, so I just always travel with wine now, because what now she has like a really refined taste, and it's like, yeah, well, what if there's shit wine where I go, so I just bring wine with me wherever I go. And just to like have a chat with her, like I guess she was a bit similar to me in that like she's Western, she grew up Western, but she's brown, and I was not, okay, it's still a shock to go to India, but like I wasn't like, some of the customs, some of the rituals, how religion, all of this stuff, it's not like weird to me. The food, incredible. I've never had that good Indian food, but like it's not weird to me, it's not new to me, it's not like, I kind of grew up with it. And she had similar, like, and how we were speaking like how it is to work in the Western world, how it affects our job, if it affects our job, especially like we're very similar, like small brown girl living the Western world, sounding Western, but also then like how your confidence levels affected. I felt this a lot, that the whole travel of India, I did not question how I looked, how I did not even judge my own body when looking at my own body. I just didn't judge myself so much. I was not self-conscious, honestly, almost at all. The relief of seeing people around me who looked like me is such a calming thing, and such a just like, oh, it's okay. And like I have this in my hometown, like in Wolverhampton in England, like it's 90% Indian people there. And whenever I'm there, I feel this like, oh, it's okay, like everyone looks like me. And I just fit in. And I get treated the same, like as long as I'm not speaking when I'm in India, I get treated the same. And I discovered there's like a female carriage to metros, and I went in it once because the rest was really crammed, and it was, honestly, it sounds really funny to say this now, it was one of the most beautiful moments of the whole trip, that there's just like flowing colourful fabric, and it's got the softest atmosphere. And everyone is like, there was like some chair, it was still very full, and there was one like really wide chair for like disabled people, but there was no one disabled there. So I sat on it, and then this other girl came and just like shimmied in next to me, and like everyone was like sharing seats, where it's like one big person or two small people, but like you're like kind of, it's like how you would with a friend when you both shimmy on the same seat, like you're next to each other, like you're like shimmied next to each other on this seat, and everyone's just like having a respite from the craziness of outside. And everyone, like there was just the gentle hum of female voice and gentleness, and I held onto this, like the thing to hold on to, like the bar, and I couldn't distinguish my arm from all the other arms, and my hand looked the same shape as all their hands. And it's these things that, and I just was like, I mean, they don't know that I'm Western, like I didn't say anything, and it was on, it just, I just fit in, and it felt homely and lovely and nice to not be in a bowl of milk, which I often am. I have 13% and we are almost home from this ridiculously long video. So anyway, I get the train up to... Oh no, wait. I went to a train station at like 6 a.m. and then they said my train is delayed until 9 a.m. I do. Okay. I remember now. I went for an evening out with some friends, and then there was one guy in this hostel who'd kind of like, from the second I arrived in this hostel, he had been talking to me, and I was like, oh, I just don't really feel like being social right now, please leave me alone, basically. I was being very polite. This guy was like up in my face. He was a pain in the fucking ass, to be honest. And whenever I saw him, I was like really trying to avoid him, and he just wouldn't stop talking at me, and I was like, oh my god, please just go away. And then I'd asked at the desk, like, can you please book, like, there was 4 of us who needed to go to the train station at the same moment, and there was no tuk-tuks around where we were, so they have a friend and they call him and then they book it for us. So they booked that, and then he was like, oh, maybe I just come with you to make sure you're all fine, and I was like, please do not do that. So I was happy to leave that guy behind, though I was sad to leave the rest of the guys behind. And we ended up at the train station, and then it was delayed 3 hours, and there was just kind of like a nice piece, like put my backpack down, sat on top of it and read my book for 3 hours, and time passed really fast, and I was just like peaceful and happy. And I'm loving trains and buses. I think I had one train in my whole time there which had doors. All the rest of them either didn't have doors or they just didn't bother closing them, which honestly I absolutely love. Doors are overrated. You don't need them. Like, you can just stand there and be like you're in a movie and stare out at everything. To see like countryside of India while passing through trains, like, it's really crazy. The metro with the woman, and like being in the metro with the women and being on the train were like some of my best memories of India. And it's crazy, actually. I wanted to make this video to like try capture things, or like just try remember things that happened, and I feel like I've got like 1% out of what happened. It's insane. I ended up back in Delhi. So that night I didn't sleep. That night I think I slept 1 hour or something. Then got this train. I had like a whole day in Delhi. It was in a nice hostel. It was a really cool hostel. Met some new people. Had a nice meal. And then we ended up like going out that night. And then the next morning I'd planned, because it was my last day in Delhi, I'd kind of like planned a bit of an itinerary for myself. Like the few things that I hadn't managed to, I put myself on the other end of Delhi. So the odd few things that I hadn't managed to do the first time because they were on the other side of Delhi. So I slept about 2 hours that night. And then, of course, it's my last night. So I was just like talking with people, doing my thing. We went around the markets again in the evening, which is, oh my God, the markets there are incredible. I was not noticing the pollution so much at this point. And I'd found like this little perfume oil shop that I wanted to get some for my friends. And this guy was like, oh, how'd you like the smell of this? How'd you like the smell of this? And I was like inhaling a lot. I couldn't smell anything. So I just like went off the names and I was just like, yeah, okay, that one. And I was like, is my nose broken? Probably, yes, it was, because when I got back, I could smell everything very intensely. And I just like, yeah, all my senses. I think at some point I was like, my ears are broken from all the car horns. My lungs were like a bit painful to take deep breaths. Also, I was like purposely not taking deep breaths in Delhi because I just didn't feel like that would be good for me. And then so like I didn't sleep that night, and my flight was really early to go to Istanbul. Next stop. That flight was, what was that flight? Was that the long one, or was that? That was the 7-hour flight where I'd never been on a big flight before, like where the plane was that big. It was like 4 seats, 3 seats, and 4 seats again. A lot more stable, a lot more chill. I was like 7 hours. The one on the way there had been 5 hours, and I was like, oh my God, 7 hours, and I'm scared. And I just sat there and I closed my eyes, and I'd found this wonderful playlist to put on, and I was just like, okay, Fear, we do, like, I cannot sit next to you for another 7 hours. I'm literally gonna sit with you, and what are we doing? And I basically just like meditated myself into a point of like, I felt like I was drowning in fear. Like literally my head went under the water, and it changed from like imagine if you're drowning, you're splashing around. It's really hectic. But then as soon as your head goes under the water, you're still panicking. But like, it's not so hectic because there's not like splashing around going on. This is how it ended up feeling anyway. And then at some point I was like, well, okay, I'm drowning. Like, I'm already under the water. I'm clearly not going to survive this. So then I just started sinking. And I just fell out the bottom of the sea into like a little paradise of its own. And there was me with fear. It's like there was two of me. There was like the me and then the me with fear who was sitting in this bottom of this little cavern, and it was beautiful. It was like a little paradise. And I mean, it sounds like I'm literally crazy right now. Like a third best bit of India was like me sitting with my eyes closed on an airplane. But I was just like, everything in the world just seemed more alive again. Like I could feel every note of the music. And I just opened my eyes in this airplane. I was just like almost crying and just like looking at people and just seeing. It was like there was a highlight on all the beauty in the world. And I'd already had this a lot in India that like I miss. In the Western world, I miss colour and hecticness, and I really love that kind of thing. And then to finally have had it, and then also to kind of like face myself a lot there. And then I was like, I can just sit with my fear. It's okay. It's really okay. So that was, I felt like almost like an epiphany moment in the airplane. And also because I'd like the day before I'd gone to a market and I was wearing the same clothes, and you kind of don't notice that you smell like things until you're like out of the situation. And I'd walked through this whole spice market, like the really big one. There had been like a few more dead things. There was like a rat on a string. I think I'd arrived really early in the morning. Someone was cleaning out their stall and there'd like been a trap and they'd caught the rats who were just walking in the market, like a rat dead hanging on a string. And then like some other guy just like, his parrot had died. They were like selling parrots. And they just like brushed it off the road like with their foot. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sad. Like, while we're on the death toll, my last time in Delhi, there was another guy died like on some crossroads of a street. And then like in the afternoon I'd seen like a guy like running around, like he was like holding his child, like, I don't know, like a 6-year-old young girl, and he was like running around the streets frantically wailing. And then later in the day when I'd come back, he was holding a dead kid, and I was just like, the contrast there is insane. And someone told me when I first arrived in India, they were like, you live off your gut feeling here. And it's very true, because in the start when I was thinking like, how do I do this, how do I do that, how do I feel about that, it's so much more difficult than just like, don't get run over, don't die. How do you feel? Like, whatever you feel about that, you just act on your feeling. And it's such an organic way to live. I really love it, and that's how I want to live. And because you have to there, it becomes very natural too. And then I just kind of like got plonked in Istanbul, and it was cold and I was tired. Like, so I'm going on 3 days without sleep. And in Istanbul, I had a night where I'd planned to just stay in the airport. I went for a walk around Istanbul. Not really my kind of place. After India, like, I was tired. Anything. Anyway, I tried to go to the cinema again. There was nothing in English. So I went back and I put on the BFG, and I sat on the floor and made like a little table out of this chair and had movie evening and ate my dinner and charged all my stuff and just made a little home in the airport and slept there for about 3 hours. And then in the morning took my next flight back to Toulouse. Fuck. Do I just run with it? Potentially. I made it. I guess this is the video that I was supposed to have made like a month ago, saying I made it to India, but I didn't make that video. I don't think I filmed anything while in India besides scenography badly filmed on my phone. I'm in Istanbul and it's like I've got 1 night left. Let me prop my phone up somewhere. Camera lights, action, empty airport, ready. I still don't know what to say. I didn't film anything in India, basically, speaking wise, because I didn't know what to say to a camera. Like, I don't even know what this video is. I don't even know what this trip was. Like, I don't regret it at all. And now one day back in a Western world, and I'm like, I'm really back in India, but also not at all. I need to process, and I want to talk at camera because I do want to remember whatever this was. So maybe I try to do like an ultra speedy rundown. Can't do this ultra speedy rundown with shoes on. Okay, so spent a month away from home. Did Vipassana meditation. Spent a month in England, in Bristol. Wonderful. Actually, this doesn't even matter. After that, 4 days to pack, and all I booked was my first flight and my first hostels for like, I don't know how to explain this trip. What was I doing? Toulouse 4 days, get my shit together. Went to Venice, went to Bologna, went to Ozzano, basically Bologna. Then went to Venice, went to Mumbai, went to Delhi, went to Noida, can't say it, taught a load of orphans some English and French, and had a juggle, had a bit of a disastrous time there. Left, went back to Delhi, went to Agra, Taj Mahal, it's big and white. Jaipur, Pink City, was there when most things were closed, met some amazing people, had a weird night out. Back to Delhi. Cool markets. Istanbul. Oh fuck, there was Vienna in the middle. Did I say Vienna? In the middle, before Mumbai there was Vienna. -10. Mumbai, +34 degrees. And now Istanbul. Pretty chilly. A Sunday, everything's closed. I was kind of over it. And on my 4th day I'm not sleeping. And I will be sleeping probably right here actually. This looks like a pretty good spot. I am officially 10 hours early for my flight. So, isn't that marvellous? And my brain just switched as soon as that flight was over. It's like India Tash is done, which is really sad. But also it's like not at all, because it's so long since I was in France. Fuck, I don't even know if I know French anymore. But like, I don't know. If things change now, are they supposed to change? Do I want them to change? Do I care? I care. Oh, fuck no. Injuries along the way. A cut open thumb that didn't heal most of the time. A big log fell on my foot just before I went to India. And it's pretty amazing. I only got food poisoning once, to be honest. What am I doing? What is this video? Like, what am I supposed to do with this footage? Look back on it of sweaty, tired Tash in Istanbul airport, kind of wishing to be back in Toulouse, but also not, because that means it's over. I don't want it to be over yet, but it is. It's going to be over. I'm such a fidget also. Like, cannot sit still. I mean, I did 7 hours on a flight today, and honestly, I think the first time that I wasn't terrified of flying, which was nice. That was very nice. And I had a really lovely moment with myself, which most of this month has been with myself. But had some cool music and some nice thoughts decided to present themselves. I love it when that happens. This airport's insane. I mean, actually, temperature-wise, air quality-wise, and like safety probably. And that I've got 10 hours. Potentially I can sleep for 10 hours. It's got potential to be the best night of the trip. Probably won't be. But there we have it. Travelling through Europe vaguely to India. Surviving. Shrek. Why do I not have words? Why do I not have words? It's really bad. Maybe I could just give each city a word. Okay, Toulouse, home. Bologna. Comfort, I think. Yeah. Indulgence. Vienna. Cold and chocolatey. Mumbai. Sickly sweet. But amazing. That was a lot of words. Delhi. Pack of cigarettes. Inside a car horn. Nadia, I only saw an orphanage there. Absolutely incredible kids. Heartwarming. Life lesson learning. Different part of Delhi. I was tired. Had a scary hostel. Confronting. Agra. Animals everywhere. Camels, cows, peacocks, rats, parrots, goldfish in like old whiskey bottles. That was many words also. Taj Mahal, big and white. Jaipur. Oh, sleeper train. Cool. Like it. Doors are overrated. Why do we ever need doors? India's got this down. Just don't put doors on things. And even if you have doors, don't ever close them. It's great. Jaipur, pink, I guess. Pink and bubbly. People, food, city, all of it. Pink and bubbly. After that, Delhi again. Delhi again. Markets. Crowded fucking markets. Needle in a haystack. While smoking. Potentially setting fire to everything. Istanbul. Cool shape, but not the right size hole. I don't even know if I know what that means, but I think that's how I feel about today. In general right now I feel tired. And not just like not sleep deprived tired, but like that was a lot of stimulus in my being. Sad to leave. I know. Sad to leave. Happy to be home. Happy to finally have time to build a home. And happy to not be like running broke. Because while it's fun to do these things while you're young and got no money, it's also not fun to do these things while you're young and got no money. Faster. We're done. I feel like I was supposed to say something profound. All these life lessons I learned, which actually, yeah, I did, but maybe this is half the point, is that like, it's not always miraculous. It's not always utterly life-changing. It's not always you meet the best friend of your life. Sometimes you're lonely, sometimes you're a bit scared, sometimes you have a good laugh with some people, sometimes people just talk at you, sometimes you get harassed every day. That sometimes is every day. Sometimes you fall in love with the country and there's some deal breakers within that country that kind of ruin it for you. And other things that surprise you that you didn't know that you loved and needed in your life. Like gentle, kind human beings and women with hearts of gold. And it's crazy, I'm going to say, it's men who know respect, but also harassment on every street corner. What the fuck? I realise it's a huge contradiction. If you've been a solo female traveller in India, I think you'll understand that contradiction. What else? An experience. I didn't go there to have the best time of my life. I went there to experience something, to learn something, to eat cool food, come back better and wiser. I think I achieved my goal. On to the next. Or not, actually. Or not. Because people say you get a travel bug, and I think you do, but you get the travel bug in, like, the moment before I am right now. Like, yesterday, when you're just about to leave the place, you're like, oh my god, I'm like planning my next trip, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then you kind of like, as soon as you get slightly, what is wrong with my hair? As soon as you get slightly close to home, you start looking like this because you just haven't slept, you don't have anywhere to sleep, and you just, well, I don't know about you, but I just end up on the floor places. What was my point? Maybe you just lose your mind and then you just don't continue for that reason. Oh my life, what was my point? Oh, the moment of, is it done? Do you have a travel bug? I do have a travel bug, but I think I always have a travel bug, and actually, I think I travelled enough now to want to sit in my home. I want to be there, I want to have actual time there. That's a pretty cool thing to come from this. And I want to get a job, and you can't do that when you're always on the road. Like an actual human job, not like a circus job. Yeah. That was a bit harsh on circus. I just want to be able to like earn money right now and not constantly be broke. Because when you get back from travelling, I think this like after travel blues, I don't think I'm going to have it too much because like I'm super happy to be back and like have my home. But to not like be, if something bad happens, I'm like, guys, go home and eat noodles, it's fine. Like I don't need, like I can survive on nothing in France. But if you're in India and something goes wrong, it's not ideal. Also, I mean, Istanbul for that state, I was like, my flight was almost cancelled again. Oh my god, in the middle, all my flights were cancelled home, so then I had to like rebook everything. And I was like the least priority passenger, so everyone else got the flights around the same date that I wanted, because they all like rebooked their premium whatever bullshit. I didn't have it. I had to change everything. But then it means that I come home 2 weeks earlier, and actually 2 bits of work that I was going to do there, I didn't do in the end, which worked out really well. Don't want to beat myself up for that, because it did feel a bit like a failure. If you come home early from travelling, it's like, oh, does that mean you weren't enjoying it, or it wasn't what you wanted, or all of these things. Actually, like, it was perfect, like, but it worked out like this. I'm so happy to be able to come home early, and not because I wasn't enjoying it, just because it was not. I didn't need 2 more weeks there. And the 2 weeks of work I was going to do got taken out, so it works out. I still feel like I have to end with something profound. The biggest life lesson I learned. Cows are tall, and camels even taller. And I take a moment of silence for all the goldfish who people tried to sell me in old whiskey bowls. Rest in peace. I was going to buy them and set them free, but there was nowhere to set them free and they would have died. That was a sad note. South of India and Thailand, that trip is happening, but after Japan. Japan is next. Maybe I do have a travel bug. After chill, normal lifetime to lose. And after money. Let me have a plan. The chill, oh my god, the air, I could breathe it. That was insane. Suddenly I was like, oh my god, all of my stuff smells like, no, it didn't smell bad, it just smelled very intensely of like spice and oils and like everything. It was, and I felt like I had like a dopamine crash in that, like the amount of stimulus on the street there. Like I couldn't walk down the street and listen to music in India. I couldn't, even in the start, to hold a conversation and cross a road was too difficult. Like, everything to look at, don't stand in shit, don't step on the dog, don't fall over the cow, don't walk into this woman, don't get accidentally attached to this woman, sari flowing everywhere, don't get hit by a car, don't get beat by this guy, stop this guy harassing you at the same time, don't inhale all of this spice as you walk through the cloud, and have a conversation. Like, And everything was so quiet in Toulouse. Everything was like reserved, and like I kind of realised the difference in the phone wires. Like maybe I have some pictures actually of like some great places of phone wire tangles in India, and then here I was just looking, I was like, there's the sky and then like a straight line phone wire. I was just like unimpressed, to be honest. I wanted to be back in India, but I was also so relieved to like have a bed of my own and a room of my own, and I think I slept for like 2 days. So I guess that's it. But then like for the next week I was kind of, it's been 2 weeks now. So the first week I was very much in like, I need to relearn how to live here. My body was like the most normal bodied, non-circus acrobat bodied I'd ever been. I mean the whole, especially since I had had food poisoning, I like felt every section of my digestive system, and not in a bad way actually. I was just aware of it, and that was such a good thing. I'm now not aware of it anymore, sadly. Like there you literally live off your feelings, and I'm a firm believer that your feelings are like your compass in this world. So it's like in the Western world, I went to cross the road here actually, like on the first day of being back, and already I was walking down the street and I was like, oh my god, it's really quiet. Where's the like bustle of people? Where's all the colour? Where's all the like, everyone's like very upright, whereas in India everything's very flowing because they have like flowy fabrics, they have colour, everything kind of like is like liquid. And here it's like very rigid and quiet. I mean, I wasn't missing the car horns, but I was just missing the like bustle of life. Like if I was bored, or like if I was never bored in India, but like if I didn't know what to do, I was like, let's just walk out of the hostel, walk up a street and walk back, and I'd just see 1,000 things, have 1,000 ideas, have 1,000 new perspectives on the world. And here I was just looking at an empty street, and my brain was almost like pasting in shots of like, well, that could have been that there, or like I miss the random chai stands. I miss the just, you can just grab food everywhere. Everything's just on the street. Everything is there for everyone. Everyone is kind. Everyone is, it sounds like such a contradiction because it was like the most harassment I've ever had in the world, but they were the nicest people ever, and they look you in the eye and they express their feelings, and it's very human. Like it's not built to be like everything needs to be the easiest way possible. Like I got given the 3rd story tier of this bed and I'm an acrobat in this train, and I had to like clamber and climb my way all the way up it, and the other guys do too. And you don't wear your shoes when you're inside, and you don't need a door on the train, just don't fly out of it. Like it's very common sense. It's very like, you don't think, you just go on your instincts to not die. And I personally love it. And here I just was like, well, there's no car. My instinct said I'm not going to die, go to cross the road. And then people were just like looking at me really weirdly because I wasn't just walking across the road randomly. I was just like walking into the middle of like a really big junction, just because I was like, yeah, well, the car's not here, so that means I'm not going to be killed. Whereas here, if the car's over there and I walk, it's like a bit of a problem. And things like this took me a while to like come back to. And I kept finding that I was missing colour. This was really sad actually. I had a very sad metro journey where I was on a really full metro again, and I was holding onto the pole that everyone was holding onto, and there was like 3 or 4 women around my age who were very pale, and they, you know, when people have like insanely long fingers, like super skinny, like kind of reminds me of like the elves in Lord of the Rings kind of vibe. They're like model hands, and I mean, like, I've never like, hands are hands, I don't know, but like I have like normal hands, I don't know. No one's looked at my hand and been like, what a beautiful hand. It's just like a hand. It has lines on it. It has scars on it. I have no grammar. Like, it's just a hand. But I literally was looking and I was like, in comparison, my hand looks dirty because it's brown. But like, it just looks like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it just looked dirty and it looked really wrinkly and disgusting. And I was just like, oh, I have such a shit hand. And I was like, I literally spent a month in India, and I didn't question a single thing on my body. And now I'm suddenly back in European context, and like, yeah, my body was loose there. I literally didn't do any activity. I didn't work out for like 2 months. I ate greasy street food for 2 months. I didn't care. I didn't judge my body. I actually was very thankful for my body when I was there. Like, my foot healed from the log being dropped on it quite quickly. And I didn't question anything. And suddenly I was just on this metro feeling ugly and disgusting. And I think there was one black woman down the other end of the metro. And I was just like, great, I'm back in the bowl of milk. And this a lot. It affected my confidence a lot, and it bothered me that it affected my confidence because it happens unconsciously. I don't be like, oh, I'm not confident because I'm brown. Not at all. Like, really not at all. But I don't realise that I have more confidence when I'm with people looking like me. And anyway, then the really sad thing happened that, like, there was a guy who, he was reading a book. He was like sitting on a seat next to the door, and he was reading a book. And I don't know why, but he kind of had it like, he wasn't holding the book. He just like had his hands just like out, and the book was lying on his forearms. And I had to get off the metro, and I had to just walk past him. Didn't think anything of it. I walked past him, and I just had like a sudden panic inside me of like, his hands were literally just like this. And I was like, that's like at my waist height. And I was just like, what if he grabs me? And then I just like kind of panicked. And then this happened a few times when I was getting on and off metros now, and I'm just like, oh, that's shit. Like, I didn't plan on that being a problem. But already, like, it's pretty much gone away. Like, I'm not walking around scared of people. It was like that one evening and the walk home, and I was like, oh no, I'm scared of people, which, like, in Toulouse, I've never really been scared of people here. I've always felt very safe here. But over the last week, actually, I haven't really thought about it till like now again. But like, that's just shit. But shit things happen. So we continue. I don't really know what, like, I miss India. And actually, I think I wrote somewhere, how did I write it? Oh, that's the wrong direction of my notebook. Yeah, I would love to live in India, but I have non-negotiables. My non-negotiables are here, and they are pollution to the point that it's going to kill you, and not feeling safe around the guys. Because if you eradicated that, and car horns, that needs to go. But yeah, the culture, the gentleness, the kindness, the colour, the living off your gut feeling, the everything just being in its most simplest form. Like, I'm going to sell chai, so I'm going to put it in this flask thing, and I'm going to sit on the street and I'm going to sell it. I literally, like, everything is just like, I make it, I do it. Like, there's no bullshitting around. Like, even just like, I went to get in the metro, and there was like this whole, you need to do this with your card, and then the this, and then the scan this, and then you do this, but you can't sit there, but there's like signs saying you can't sit on the floor of the metro. I was like, what the fuck? And then like the doors close, and then the extra doors close. I'm like, oh my life. Like, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to jump out of the metro. Like, and I guess I am just someone, like, I like buttons. I like to be able to push a physical button. And in India, I mean, they're not behind the times. Like, their technological advancement is insane. Like, I mean, they're the ones actually leading it. But the general day-to-day life there is very button-oriented. Like, things are not touch screens. Things are not made of glass and beautiful. It's, like, manual. And I love this because I'm done, like, stroking taps to have them turn on. I guess if this is story time for Future Tash, one of the crazy things I didn't expect to make me angry in India was that I didn't care about having to have a bucket shower, even if it was cold. In Delhi, it was a bit cold to have a cold bucket shower. I wasn't so happy, but otherwise, it was warm enough. I didn't really care. It's fine. Water in bucket, on head, fine. But in some hostels, there were showers. But there were like a dribble, like the smallest dribble of cold water. And what's it called? The bidet? the shower for your vagina, the toilet shower, these were everywhere. They had more water pressure and were warmer than the shower. And like one day I was like considering, do I just shower with this thing? Like it's like a whole wet room anyway. And like all of them were wet rooms. So the toilet was always soaking wet. And I was like, it's probably the cleanest toilet because it's getting washed literally every second of the day. But still, a wet toilet never feels clean. Things like this. That kind of made me a bit crazy. But yeah, definitely want to go back and do Thailand and the south of India. But my next trip, Japan. That's the plan. I feel like I literally said like 5% of what happened there. Like the markets and the bookstores. Oh my god, the stalls of books and the kind of books they had there and the fact that they were all in English and like, oh yeah, I feel I missed so much. Oh my god, someone tried to sell me goldfish inside an old whiskey bottle. And I was like, there's no way that fish is getting in and out of that hole at the top. So that means it was literally born in this bottle. And oh my god, I was feeling really sorry for it. But also it was kind of beautiful. And then I was like, oh my god, what if I buy them all because they're super cheap and then set them free? I was like, where? Also, that water is going to be more contaminated. They probably have bottled water right now. So oh my god, there's nothing I can do. Things like this. Like someone tried to sell me like not a pigeon, but like it wasn't a chicken either. It was somewhere in between. A little boy running around the market with his goats. I arrived at a market really early one morning and this guy was just like running around with his goats and it was so sweet. And just spices and jewellery and oils and food and the old school way of like I went and they had like the tubs of sweets and I was like, oh god, this woman didn't speak a word of English. I didn't know how to say like this many grams or something. I didn't know how they were doing it. And then she was like, how many? And it's like 1 rupee, 1 sweet. And I was like, oh my god, I love this. It's like penny sweets again. And humans are better humans. When you choose sweets individually, you eat them individually. Like, I'm not someone who's like a big foodie anyway. But if you're in India, by default you are because it's India. But like you just get like a pack of sweets and you just eat them randomly, like normally. But like there you don't. Like there was just like these, I don't know, I didn't know what half of these sweets were. I discovered these really cool coconut sweets there. And I was like, okay, great, I'm going to have 7 of these things and 6 of these things. And like, you just get them wrapped up in a little paper bag and, oh, I just loved it. I really miss that way of life because actually when I was young, that was like a thing that I'd be given like 20 pence to run down to the little corner shop and like, you put your penny sweets in and I wish that was still a thing in the world because while I'm not like a huge sweet person, I miss like, I don't know, I miss going to the cinema. Not like the pick and mix in the cinema that's really expensive, but just to like go to the corner shop and like you literally pick like how many of what you want. And then there's a lot of joy in that. A lot of joy in these random little things. In petting a camel on the side of the street and walking with friends around this closed monument that we wanted to go in. Oh, the French president was in Jaipur the day that I was there and there was like photoshopped images of, I don't even know, an Indian guy. President? I don't know. And the French president. And that was why everything was closed. And I was like, oh my god, he's probably going to get a private jet home and in 4 days I'm going to have to do the longest journey ever with 4 nights of no sleep to get home. Can I just like go with him? So that was a bit of a laugh. But Macron, I think the name, he didn't take me home with him. But that's fine. 4 days was a fun journey to get home. And all my spoons here. It's a bit yellow. The first time I had to use it and make it yellow. I mean, it's inevitable it gets yellow. I'm eating curry with it. But it went strong, survived the whole trip. Very useful. Yeah, that's it, I guess. I hope this is somewhat capturing some kind of memory of what happened. I guess the rest just lives inside my brain. I mean, not actually even inside my brain, inside my body, because everything there is so intangibly felt and in atmospheres and in a look and in the universe between two eyes, and it's like when you just look at someone and you just like, you could say everything in that one look. I feel like that's how India's conveyed. So to transform that into the literal language of words is already very impossible, which is why, like, okay, like I did journal pretty much the whole time there, but at the end of each day when I wrote down like what happened, it was like that was not the point, it was the feeling of what happened, but we don't even have words for some of the feelings that I felt like I felt. So I'm just rambling now. Hopefully, this is the one thing I wish that I filmed more while I was there, but I know why I didn't was because I was so overwhelmed by the world. And that, like, when you're staying in dorm hostels, it's like you don't have a second on your own. Besides that 2 days in that solo room in Delhi, I didn't have a second in a room on my own, besides when I was peeing. That was it. So, yeah, future me, when you do Thailand and south of India, film more. And definitely when Japan is the next trip. I don't know how or when. Japan is the next trip. And I'm going to film more. To try. Because I would love to have an actual film of when I travelled Portugal and other journeys I've done. So, that's the plan. Hopefully this worked. And sounds better than that situation. Okay. I drank a seed. Let's put it back in there.